My name is Jody, and I just retired from my super important yet super boring corporate job where I explain complex things to the C-suite executives in 5 minutes or less to get them to actually make decisions and do something. I will now take these corporate superpowers and do deep dives into current events and help to answer the obvious questions. And this is my podcast. Hello, fellow truth seekers. Today we're going to discuss one of the biggest pitfalls in corporate and pop culture world. It's one of the most dangerous things that can ever happen, and I've seen it happen, and the fallout when the person who is in the right becomes in the wrong and the hero becomes a villain. So the obvious question we have today is, can being right also make you wrong? So in college, I started out as a political science major, and we actually had a class on how to handle spin. And the lesson we learned is that when you do something wrong or the person you work for does something wrong, take a pause and wait for an overreaction. And at that moment, change the narrative to be about the overreaction versus the actual bad action. Yes, this was actually a class, and I'm pretty sure I got an A in it. For this life lesson, we're going to go to one of the OG shows in reality TV, The Real Housewives of Orange County. Now, this was the first of the franchise, and it is literally the show that has shown us the good, the bad, the ugly. Like iconic moments in reality TV, like Vicki Gunvalson screaming about her family van versus a limo. If you know, you know. It's hilarious. Okay, in this case, the two people involved are Shannon Beador and Tamra Judge, two of the three Trace amigas, along with Vicki Gunvalson, with a long and actual real history and a real friendship. Like, these are real friends. Shannon is a bit of a spoiled drama queen, and last year she broke up with her longtime boyfriend, John Jansen, and spiraled out of control. She ended up driving drunk and hitting an actual house, which I don't understand how she did it, but she was able to do that. She abandoned her car in the middle of the street and walked away with her dog, Archie. So this year was set up for her villain season. She had not been the best friends to another castmate, Gina, who had a DUI, so the knives were going to be out on her. Now, off the show, the Trace Amigas actually had a show called The Trace Amigas, where they did some silly skits and drank tequila and all these things to line their pockets. Well, Tamra had a very tough time moving forward on these shows, especially because of the drinking and with the DUI. It just wasn't something that she condoned, so she pulled out. And so now the show is The Dos Amigas, and their friendship had a complete falling out. Now, here's where it gets tricky. And again, this happens in the corporate world too. When someone is down, it can be really, really easy to take a few shots at the person. And this is dangerous, very dangerous. And you need to proceed with caution. Well, Tamra didn't. And of course, the edits bring back all the times when Tamra was drunk, like the one time when her and Vicki were trying to get this other cast member drunk and was calling it naked wasted. Now, understand this. I really like Tamra, but she keeps doubling down on this. She is talking all over the place of all the bad things that Shannon has done. And honestly, in most of it, she's probably in the right. But to tell someone they're an alcoholic when you yourself say you have to drink a lot to film doesn't make you the moral police, and it just is over the top and too much. Tamra needs to take a few of her CBD gummies, which, by the way, I take and like, and chill out. But no, she goes in like a pit bull who found a juicy steak, and she's not going to let it go ever. So when someone is down and is fictitiously drowning, and it's their own fault, you have some choices. You can throw them a lifesaver. You can sit on the sidelines and watch, or you can add another rock to that anchor, pulling them down. And that's exactly what Tamra decided to do. She is so angry at her now ex-friend that she cannot control her mouth, and she's hurling the vilest things at Shannon, and she's turning Shannon into the victim, and Tamra looks like a mean girl. Again, when someone is down, kicking them a few times may seem to be a good thing. And believe me, I've wanted to, especially when it's deserved. But let's not forget, karma is a biatch, and corporate karma can have an even better sense of humor. And in the case of the Real Housewives, Tamra looks actually cruel. And you are seeing the woman on the show, all the women on the show, stepping back and wincing a bit and taking the heat off of Shannon. The one thing Shannon has done well is not play the victim. She drove drunk. It was incredibly dumb. She is lucky no one was hurt or killed, and she has spoken out on the ramifications of her mistake. Because of this, unlike Rachel from our Shut the Up episode, she is going to find her redemption arc because she is taking the hits and not playing the victim card. But of course, this is the Real Housewives, and it gets worse. Tamra is also now friends with an ex-cast member, Alexis, who she used to call Jesus Jugs because of her enhanced plastic surgery. And she is now, you cannot make this up, dating Shannon's ex-boyfriend, John, and rubbing this in Shannon's face. And Tamra is right there egging her on. It looks so petty and so mean girl that even Regina George may cringe a bit. First, because we know Tamra and Alexis are not real friends, but the enemy of your enemy is your friend, and Alexis must think that she's only had 14 of her 15 minutes of fame, so she keeps throwing her boyfriend in Shannon's face. Now, this guy is not exactly someone that's that impressive, and honestly, for someone who says they don't want to be on social media or reality TV, of all the women in Orange County you date, you have to find an ex-cast member? I find that weird. So, you ask me how this can happen in the real world. Well, thanks for asking, because you know there's always that one person in the office who is always doing people dirty. Taking credit for other people's work, sucking up to the boss, saying things that aren't true, doing as little work as possible, but getting as much credit as they can. And then that golden moment happens and the bus runs them right over. While you do want to do a dance on their grave, this is important. Do not react. Remember, these weasels did not get to where they are by being good people. They will figure out a way to turn things around. The lesson you need to be aware of is do nothing. As much as you want to, and I know the feelings, because believe me, people are watching, and your reaction can and will be held against you in the court of corporate karma law. By doing nothing, they won't know what to do. Your management chain will think highly of you, and that person will spiral and take themselves out. Now, I'm not telling you that it would be wrong to pop some popcorn on the sidelines, but again, petty is only fun in the movies and reality TV, not in the real world. So the obvious answer is less is more, and these blowhards will make it worse on themselves, and you will have your hands clean, albeit a little buttery from your popcorn. And that's the truth.